Greetings, my scattered brothers and sisters in the Lord. Trust you know the Lord is with you wherever you find yourself scattered today, and that you know that His presence with you is more than enough for whatever you might face today. We are still with Jesus in Mark chapter 7, and you'll recall that some of the Pharisees and teachers of the law have gone north from Jerusalem to meet Jesus in Galilee. They want to check him out. And they notice that Jesus' disciples are eating without ceremonially washing their hands. This would defile them in the eyes of the teachers of the law. And so they come to Jesus with the question, what's up with your disciples? And really it's a question, what's up with you, Jesus? That you're allowing your disciples to be common rather than holy. You're allowing them to eat with defiled hands instead of purified hands. Well, Jesus confronts them and he challenges them and he lays Isaiah against them, that they're more concerned about human traditions than actually keeping the commands of God. He gives an example to them about how they will dedicate some things as Corban, things that's dedicated to God, and in so doing, they don't have to or they can't use that wealth, those gifts, those blessings to actually care for their parents, which is something that God has commanded that we do. And so now where we pick it up, Jesus turns kind of away from the Pharisees and the teachers of the law, and he speaks directly to the crowds. And so we will pick it up, Gospel of Mark chapter 7, verse 14. And again, Jesus called the crowd to him and said, "Listen to me, everyone, and understand this. Nothing outside you can defile you by going into you. Rather, it is what comes out of you that defiles you." And then he goes further. He leaves the crowd and he goes into the house, and his disciples asked him about what he meant by this. Jesus says, verse 18, "Are you so dull?" he asked. "Don't you see that nothing that enters you from the outside can defile you? For it doesn't go into your heart, but into your stomach, and then out of your body." In saying this, Jesus declared all foods clean. Jesus went on, "What comes out of you is what defiles you. For from within, out of your hearts, come evil thoughts, sexual immorality, theft, murder, adultery, greed, malice, deceit, lewdness, envy, slander, arrogance, and folly. All these evils come from inside and defile you." So there's a few things I want us to focus on here for a minute. One, Jesus declares all food clean. And his point is, it is not food that defiles you. It's what comes out of your heart that defiles you. And maybe we need to pause here for a moment. When they're talking about food, they had divided up in terms of kind of, food that set them apart as Jews versus eating like the Gentiles would eat. And somehow that this became a marker as to what really made them holy. And Jesus is saying, no, it's not about the food that you eat. That's not what makes you holy, or that's not what makes you common or makes you defiled. Rather, it's what comes out of your heart. The food just goes into your body and comes out. So that kind of makes me pause for a moment. Yeah, I get it in terms of food, but the food goes into the stomach. What are we putting into our hearts? What are we putting into our minds? Are we feeding our hearts, are we feeding our minds things that would kind of turn our hearts sour, turn our hearts more evil, turn our hearts, our minds, our thoughts more worldly? So that's kind of the first thought that comes, is it makes me think, okay, it's not about what I'm putting into my stomach, it's what am I putting into my heart? And then the second thing I think about is what comes out of your heart that actually defiles you, that actually makes you kind of common, that actually makes you less than holy or worldly. And so to begin to realize that my actions come out of my heart and my actions can actually defile me. Okay, so that when I tell a lie, I don't just tell a lie, I become a liar. I'm defiled. I'm just like the rest of the world. No longer holy, because God is holy and God is true. And so telling a lie isn't just something that I do. In doing that, I'm doing something to myself. I'm defiling myself. Okay, and you can see how this would carry on from one thing to another. That the evil that we do that comes out of our hearts, actually, we don't just do the evil, we actually defile ourselves. That sin corrupts us. Sin makes us worldly. Sin makes us less than holy, actually less than human. And so wherever you find yourself scattered today, I hope you hear Jesus' words kind of as a fresh challenge to one, think about what am I putting into my heart? What am I feeding my mind? And second, to realize that the actions that I do when they are evil of any variety, and Jesus had quite a spectrum there, from slander to adultery, sexual immorality, lustfulness, greediness, that whenever I'm operating that way, I'm actually defiling myself. I might be hurting others by telling them a lie, but I'm actually defiling myself, making myself a liar. So wherever you find yourself scattered today, pray for grace, for a pure heart and pure actions. God bless. Have a great day.